Del, the IMF also came to the rescue of Ukraine Thursday with a bailout of up to $18 billion over 2 years. And this comes as another development happens. Former Prime Minister of Ukraine, Yulia Tymoshenko, officially entered her bid to run for president. Here with us this morning is Andrij Dobriansky, executive board member at the Ukrainian Congress Committee for America. Good morning, Mr. Dobriansky. Let's just jump right into this because there are a lot of developments, and let's start with Yulia Tymoshenko. When you look at recent polling numbers for these possible presidential candidates, she's not even in the top two. With 9.7%, she's trailing both former heavyweight boxing champion Vitaly Klitschko. He's got 14.6%, and Petro Poroshenko, a business figure who backed the revolution, and he's ahead. So why is Tymoshenko's bid for president receiving so much scrutiny?
I think it's getting a lot of media attention because her expertise has always been in manipulating the media and her personal image. She is somebody who the Ukrainian people really feel for in terms of the amount of time she spent in prison. We see the pictures of her leaving prison. She was in solitary confinement for a long time. However, she is a part of the past. And as you see in the polls, it's not something the Ukrainian people are really interested in going back to that time period.
She doesn't necessarily represent the Euromaidan movement. No. And yet it's not just the media that seems concerned with Ms. Tymoshenko. There was a recording which was leaked on YouTube. It hasn't been authenticated, but it features some harsh words from Tymoshenko, including the suggestion that 8 million Russians living in Ukraine should be killed with nuclear weapons. Who would want that type of recording out there?
I think it's quite clear where this recording came out of. We've had recordings come out of U.S. ambassadors to Ukraine and other figures coming out, and these are always leaked on Russian media first. So these are quite obviously the attempts by the Russian intelligence to portray the people in Ukraine as not in their right minds, trying to kill people. As of yet, we have not seen any violence against Russians, ethnic Russians in Ukraine. In fact, two people who are ethnic Russians who died in Ukraine were, one, a protester on the Maidan who was shot by a sniper, and the other person was, in fact, the first Ukrainian military officer who died by the Russian invasion in Crimea. He was ethnically Russian. His wife is due to give birth in 2 months, and those are the Russians who passed away in Ukraine. It's not the Ukrainians killing Russians, it's the invaders coming and killing them.
All right, let's move on to this IMF package that's been offered to Ukraine. The Ukrainian economy clearly in crisis. Is there someone running in this race so far that you think has the ability to stabilize Ukraine and turn the economy around?
Well, right now we're in a very good place with the prime minister. So separate from the president, we had the constitution revert back to the 2004 version of the constitution. That version gives the prime minister and the parliament a lot more power than the president has altogether. So right now we have Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk, who visited President Obama a couple of weeks ago, just last week. He is incredibly suited for this.
But isn't he part of Tymoshenko's Fatherland Party?
Well, he had his own party prior to that. Now he took over, merged his party, the Party for Change in Ukraine, and actually at the time in 2010, he was actually one of the leading presidential candidates. So he does have a following in and of himself, separate from Tymoshenko. However, that he is uniquely suited to take Ukraine through this economic crisis. Not only is he a trained economist, he was the former economic minister of Ukraine, but he actually negotiated Ukraine's accession into the WTO. So he has a vast understanding of the way world economic models work. And in this time where we're dealing with a lot of issues in Ukraine, this economic crisis, we have a leader right now who's particularly suited for that.
The IMF deal requires some major reforms, and it's going to hurt Ukrainian citizens. Do you think they're prepared to make the sacrifices needed to reform this economy?
This has always been the problem presented to Ukraine. Russia has always offered money. No strings attached, just vote the way we want, that's it.
And that's nice.
Yes, European accession has always been about, let's make sure we have universal human rights, let's make sure we have other decency standards up throughout society. With the IMF loans, which are needed to just carry our economy until we can get a lot of that $70 billion that was absconded by the prior president. So there's a loans coming to us, although there is money out there that we need to recover. But for these IMF loans, these are positive reforms, some of which need to be negotiated, and I'm sure Prime Minister Yatsenyuk is going to be negotiating those terms specifically.
Andrij Dobriansky, executive board member at the Ukrainian Congress Committee for American. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Stephanie, more protests